Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. To my fellow students, welcome to our first virtual class. So today we are going to cover chapter 1, the entrepreneurship and the entrepreneurial mindset. So before we proceed to the next slide, how are you? I hope all of you are doing fine and fully utilizing the RMO, doing something beneficial for you. And of course, you have to keep yourself on track. Please ensure that you are not absent from any classes. Even though we are conducting a virtual class, we have to attend the class virtually. Just like what I mentioned previously, the only one missing element is just a face-to-face class. So the other thing is you need to attend the class virtually as per schedule. Okay, next we move to the first slide. So the learning objective of our today's lecture is to introduce the concept of entrepreneurship and explain the process of entrepreneurial action. Second, to describe how structural similarities enable entrepreneurs to make creative mental leaps. To highlight college as a source of entrepreneurs' resourcefulness. Next, to introduce effectuation as a way expert entrepreneurs sometimes think, to develop the notion that entrepreneurs cognitively adapt, to introduce sustainable entrepreneurship as a means of sustaining the natural environment and communities and developing gains for others. So, without waste any time, let's begin. Okay, the first slide is about the nature of the entrepreneurship. I believe all of you understand and familiar with the word entrepreneurship. In Malay, we call it as a keusahawanan. So there are different between entrepreneurship and businessman. Someone who is an entrepreneur, they are not businessman. Businessman is not entrepreneur. Entrepreneur is not a businessman. Entrepreneur is someone who have this entrepreneurial mindset, who have act according to the entrepreneurial skills. They must have an entrepreneurial culture. So take a look at the nature of the entrepreneurship. Firstly, the entrepreneurial opportunity, a situation in which new goods, service, raw material, and organizing methods can be introduced, sold at greater than their cost of production. Of course, as an entrepreneur, you have to start the business starting from scratch. That means you need to think what are the product that you have to sell, what are the price that you must set for every product, where you're going to distribute those products, and one more thing, how you're going to promote your product to ensure the people aware about your product existence. So of course, selling price is one of the important element in doing business. So as entrepreneur, you have to ensure that your selling price must be greater than the cost of production, because this is to prevent the losses that you will encounter later. Okay, and the entrepreneurial action involve creation of new product or processes, and it involved entry into a new market. And saying about the new market, it might be a new segmentation. Maybe previously your target market is people from different segment, and when you do a rebrand, for example, you'll target to the new segmentation. For example, like maybe you previously target for youngsters. Your product is meant to be for the youngsters, and when you do the rebrand, you aware that your target market is actually moving to the next social life, which is they become more matured, So then your target market will be changed from the youngsters to the young adult, for example. Okay, and talking about the entrepreneurial, is actually described as someone who make money, uh, or they start their business, especially when involved when seeing the new opportunity, and they have to taking care of the risk that they're going to encounter. So those who have an entrepreneurial mindset, they must embrace the entrepreneurial culture, which is they must have a risk-taking behavior, proactive. They must be creative. What's the meaning of creative? Something that outside of the box, something that other people don't think about it. And of course, as a entrepreneur that have entrepreneurial mindset, they must be optimistic. I would like to remind you that not all entrepreneurs they actually have entrepreneurial mindset, uh, because the entrepreneurial mindset is something that create a entrepreneurial culture among the entrepreneur. So not all entrepreneur they actually have this kind of entrepreneurial mindset. Okay, next, um, the nature of entrepreneurship may occur through a newly created organization or within an established organization. Entrepreneurial thinking and individuals' mental processes of overcoming ignorance to decide whether a signal represents an opportunity for someone, decide whether the opportunity is applicable to the individual specifically, and process feedback from action steps taken. So, as an entrepreneur, you need to think clearly, and you must act accordingly based on the situation in hand. You have to look around you. You have to look at the surrounding. What are the current issues? What are the current problems that are being faced by the people around you, or being faced by your target market, for example? So you have to act according to their problem. Okay, for example, like if your target market is a student, so what are the major issues or problem that actually faced by the student? So you need to being sensitive about your target market. Next is the entrepreneurial action. So the entrepreneurial action comes with two stages, which is the attention stage, which is the entrepreneur act radical uncertainty, put them into ignorance, or maybe at the stage of evaluation stage, action specific uncertainty. So at this stage, you can see that knowledge, based on the prior knowledge, and they got the motivation, the personal strategy, and comes with the third person opportunity. And this stage, we have the feasibility assessment, the motivation, what are desirability assessment, and at the end, they create the entrepreneurial action, first person opportunity. Okay, next, how entrepreneurs think. So basically, entrepreneurs should have these five way of thinking. Firstly, is a think structurally. Secondly, engage in recollege. Third, effectuate. Fourth, cognitively adapt. And number five, learn from failure. Okay, next, let's move to the first point. Okay, structurally, structurally, think structure. I cannot say it. Okay, it's okay. So, as an entrepreneur, they have a superficial similarity and the structure similarities. So the superficial similarities is a basic element of technology resemble the basic elements of the market, which is the way of thinking by using the existing technology, by using the existing methods, whereas the structural similarities, underlying mechanism of the technology resemble the underlying mechanism of the market, which is they are using the more advanced technology in solving the problem in hand. Next is a bricolage. The bricolage is the meaning of the bricolage is a process of improve the human endeavor. So the bricolage applying combination of the resources at hand to new problem and opportunity, which is taking existing resources and tinkering or reframing them so that can be used in new way. Next is effectuation, which is as entrepreneur, you need to be more cooperative, especially with your business stakeholder, such as your customer or the investor. This is very important for you to achieve the organization desired outcome. So basically, the effectuation have three process. The first one is a causal process. The causal process actually start with a desired outcome. Focus on the means to generate that particular outcome. So as an entrepreneur, as the owner of the company, you need to you need to determine what are your desired outcome. Whether you want to succeed in your industry, or you want to lead, you become leading the market, for example, or maybe you want to penetrate your product to the new market, for example. So as an entrepreneur, you need to be clear about the desired outcome. Secondly, the effectuation process. The effectuation process, it starts with what one has and select among possible outcome, which is you have to uh, list all the list all the possible outcome that you would like to achieve, and you have to focus on one possible outcome that you would like to achieve. Okay, and then the entrepreneurial mindset. The entrepreneurial mindset is the ability to rapidly sense, act, and mobilize even under uncertain conditions. So, like I mentioned just now, those who have an entrepreneurial mindset must have or must possess the proactiveness. They must be someone who is risk taking instead of risk adverse. He or she must risk taking, willing to encounter any kind of risk in doing business. And thirdly, they have to become a creative, optimistic, and also someone who is act according to the current situation. Okay, that's make you differ from the entrepreneur and the businessman. Okay, next is the cognitive adaptability. It describes the extent to which entrepreneurs are dynamic, flexible, self-regulating, and engaged in the process of generating multiple decision frameworks, focus on sensing and processing changes in their environment, and then acting on them. So the words of cognitive means the way of thinking. So as you can see, the entrepreneur must have those what we call it must adapt with this behavior. And then the other one is the meta cognitive awareness, the ability to reflect upon, understand, and control one's thinking and learning, which is the entrepreneur must aware about their surrounding and what are the issues that they actually face by the company, and they must be sensitive about the current issue. If not, if the entrepreneur is not aware or is not sensitive about their target market, um, in future, uh, it will create problem, which is your customer will become frustrated and they will simply run away to your competitors. Okay, next, achieving cognitive adaptability through comprehension question. The comprehension means the current situation that they actually encounter. For example, currently we are facing this COVID-19 issues. So as we know, this pandemic have give a very is very impactful towards various business in Malaysia, not only in Malaysia, in the whole world. No matter you are from micro business, SME, small and medium enterprise, or maybe you are from the private limited company. So this is the current situation that we're having right now. So as an entrepreneur, you have to understand the nature of the environment. Some of the entrepreneur took this as something that barrier for their business, but some of the entrepreneur took this as a opportunity for them. Uh, what do you think? What is the opportunity behind this COVID-19 issues? Okay. Right, next to the connection task, stimulate thinking about similarities and different of current situation with situation previously faced and solved. So, whatever problem that come into your business, how to approach, how to what you call it, to cope that kind of issues is by look at the previous or the historical data, the historical how the other competitor or how the other companies solve that kind of particular problem. For example, like in Malaysia, we observe that they are uh, the pandemic just come into our country, right? So our government took initiative to do this RMO, the restriction movement order, because based on the what have been practiced in China, uh, after this RMO, they managed to solve this pandemic problem. So not necessarily you have to face the failure in order to face the problem that you are facing right now. So you may look at the other people or the other organization or person, how they're handling their problem. So we can simply follow how they cope with this kind of problem. And then the strategic task, identify strategies that are appropriate for solving the problem or pursuing the opportunity. Okay, next slide. Reflection task, stimulate entrepreneurs to think about their understanding and feeling as they progress through the entrepreneurial process. So they must have a understanding and the feeling as they progress through the entrepreneurial process. Okay, and then the increasing cognitive ability is really help in adapting to new situation, being creative, and communicating one's reasoning behind a particular response. Right. Next, the intention to act entrepreneurially. Entrepreneurial intention is a motivational factor that influences individual to pursue entrepreneurial outcome. So what do you think? What are the factors factor that actually influence the entrepreneur to become what? To become entrepreneur. So maybe some of the entrepreneur would like to become entrepreneur maybe because of the money that they will get from the business, or maybe the power that they possess, which is once you become entrepreneur, you are the superior of the company. So you manage to give a direction to your subordinate, for example, and maybe because of the affiliation, the good relationship with the stakeholder, for example, that motivate you to become entrepreneur. Or maybe because you are passionate about doing business. It's not really it's really important for you to have this passionate doing business when you are entrepreneur, because if you are doing something without passionate, it will lead to the failure. Okay, next is the entrepreneurial self-efficiency. Conviction that one can successfully pursue entrepreneurial outcome, and perceived desirability, the degree which a potential entrepreneurial outcome is evaluated as favorable or unfavorable. Okay, next we move to the next slide, which is the entrepreneur background and characteristic. First of all, the education. As we know, education is very important, not only among the student as well as the entrepreneur. You have to equip yourself with education. You must have education, otherwise it will lead you to become a entrepreneur with a undesirable behavior. You know what I mean. So for me, those entrepreneur who have education, the way of thinking is slightly different from those entrepreneur without education. They will tend to organize, or they tend to what we call it, um, they will tend to um, conduct the business by put the emotional ahead than um, then put the emotional ahead then um, they don't have a better idea in conducting the business. So it's very important for you to equip yourself with knowledge and the information. So the education facilitates integration and accumulation of knowledge, thus providing a larger opportunity set, case a wider net for the discovery or generation of potential opportunities, assist entrepreneurs in adapting to new situations. As an entrepreneur, you always have to get ready for yourself to encounter new situation, and does not necessarily determine whether the individual will create a new business. Okay, next, the background of the entrepreneur. The age, usually between 22 until 45 years old. Remember the story of Jack Ma that I've told you during our first class? According to the Jack Ma, before you turn 30 years old, you have to think clearly what you want to become. If you would like to involve with food and beverages industry, you have to gain some experience from the other company or the other restaurant, for example. So you gain as much as possible the experience from the others, and by the time you are conducting your own business, you can use that particular experience to conduct the business. And why the age is must the maximum age is 45? Maybe 45 years old, people will start think about the retirement life. After you're 45, you start to think what you want to how you are going to spend your retirement days, okay, whatsoever. But never mind, I also got one friend that her father is actually start doing business by age of 50, if I'm not mistaken. But her father is already retired, and after they retired, and he start doing business. Her father was a government servant, so doesn't matter at what age you can always start your own business. And the work history, past work experience of an individual, like I mentioned just now, you must gain the life experience or the working experience from the other company. That make you better. Okay, next the role model and the support system, which is the individual whose example an entrepreneur can aspire to and copy. This is a role model lah ataupun mentor. Mentor is who possess the higher market share. Normally, a mentor is someone who have a higher market share in the industry that you are in. For example, like if you would like to venture into fashion industry, what do you think? What do you think? Who's the role model? Who's the mentor? Uh, who's the name that come across to your mind when I mention about the fashion industry? Maybe to be specific, Muslimah attire or Muslimah apparel. So maybe your mentor would be like Bella Amara, that very famous in selling a Muslimah apparel. So you can take it, you can take them as your mentor. Next is a moral support network, individuals who give psychological support to an entrepreneur. And then the professional support, individual who help the entrepreneur in business activities. Some of the entrepreneur they involve or they join the entrepreneur um, club to get this professional support and network. Because in this doing business, to become an entrepreneur, you can never work alone. You have to get the what we call it to get the motivation from your competitor, for example. Okay, next, the sustainable entrepreneurship, preserving nature, life support, and community in the pursuit of perceived opportunity to bring future product, process, and services into existence of gain, which is can generate economic, environmental, and the social gain. Okay, I think that's all for our first class. So today we only covered for chapter 1. So for today's exercise, okay, name one entrepreneur that you know, why he or she inspired you. So maybe you are currently admire with any entrepreneur that you know, and why did he or she inspire you? I want to know. Okay, let's discuss. Okay, so I think that's all for today's class. See you next week for the other chapters. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.